taking three.
Going for the St. Louis now.
Oh no!
Son of a bitch.
You getting two?
Yeah.
Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Thotgor here, of course, and today we are going to take a look at two replays. The first replay, we're on Trident. Now, you might notice a few familiar names here. So I did manage to get into the same battle with a number of divisions in my clan here, we were all queuing in at the same time. So on my team, I have Mountain in the carrier. We have Master Chief in a battleship. We have I think that's Tri 22 in a cruiser, and then myself, of course, in the Kamikaze R. And then on the opposing team, we have Ghost Raven in his Furitaka. We have Canadian and Bider. I think that Canadian's in a Texas and Bider is in a New York, I believe. Not 100% sure on that. But anyway. Now, they were dropping in, and I just so happened to jump into the TeamSpeak channel just as they were about to say battle. I just sort of guessed a tier and picked go and managed to get into the game. And I didn't really say anything about it. So I was trying to keep a low profile here for the opening bit. I knew as soon as I got my first kill that it was, more or less going to be over, but whatever. Now, where I started over here on Trident, I am going to go into the A zone right away. I was right near the A zone. This is a good spot. It's sort of a good move. Even if I was over there at C, I would have went right into C. The idea being that you can also, attempt to cap the point. More importantly, you're scouting it out as well. So if the enemy is heavy over here, then I can just shoot over into B. If the enemy is light here, I can stay and cap the point, and then eventually make my way over to B. That's generally my plan, is to take one of these, outlying caps and then push into the center. Generally, it doesn't always work that way, obviously. So we do see a number of planes coming up, but luckily Mountain Man is all over that, because I was actually quite concerned. Almost said something about it as well, but no, Mountain Man is all over it. He got in there with his fighters and scared away the enemy fighters, so fantastic. So we see our first victim here, if you will. Another enemy destroyer. Now, I was a little concerned about this guy. I really did want to die right away, obviously. I briefly did get spotted there, but quickly able to move away as well. The the enemy destroyer did also pop some smoke. So we know that the enemy destroyer is somewhere in the smoke. Again, Mountain Man, not being a crappy carrier player, is in there with his torpedo bombers doing manual drops, random manual drops in the smoke, just in hopes of getting the enemy destroyer. Much like my torpedoes that are heading through the smoke at this point in time as well. I really figured that, they didn't hit anything. Oh, there we go. Fantastic. So enemy destroyer is gone. Devastating strike, first blood. And suddenly everyone was like, oh, Thotgor is in the game. So now that everyone knows I'm in the game, I got to be a little extra careful here. I didn't want to die right away, obviously, as well. And something else that I'll point out here as well, because it's also worth mentioning. I mean, I find when I am playing in a game with people I know like this and they're on the enemy team, I really try to stay aware of not just hunting those people down, because I make too many mistakes and it just turns out badly. So I generally just play as I would any other game, take the advantage or take the opportunities that present themselves. I mean, you can see, right? I had Ghost Raven there in my sights. I thought about it. It's just not going to work out. I'm not willing to chase him down, right? It's just, no, that'd be dumb. So just let him be. I mean, I've got two battleships coming up here that probably don't realize what's about to happen. So I'm going to take advantage of the battleships. Now, it just so happens as well that these battleships happen to be the Canadian as well as Bider, so that worked out. But again, it didn't matter to me who I actually was doing the damage to. It was, I'm just trying to take out any enemy ship that I possibly can, and these battleships look like fairly easy targets, to be totally honest. I didn't expect them to be moving around at all. Anyway, so I'm just going to line up, get myself into position here, use the enemy destroyer's smoke to my advantage as well, which we can see here, the little circles around the smoke, which was added in the most recent patch. Really handy to have this on if you want, to be able to understand smoke a little more. So there we go. We're lining up in the Canadian. No one has spotted me at all. I'm going to fire off all 6 torpedoes. Hoping that all 6 land, because Canadian's on full health in a full health Texas. I believe if you do, moderate damage on each torpedo, you are going to require the 6 torpedo hits to actually take that Texas down. Anyway, torpedoes are on the way, so I'm just going to continue to take a look around. I did get spotted there briefly, but again, I'm going to, no longer be spotted because of the island that is in between me and that enemy. Torpedoes are on the way for the Canadian. It looks fairly decent. Do manage to hit him with a few. That was 4 torpedo hits, basically almost killed Canadian there as well, and 2 of my torpedoes missed, but whatever, doesn't matter. Did a whole crap ton of damage. And of course, the silence at this point in the channel. You can hear the tension. It was pretty great. Anyway, launch off some more torpedoes here at another unsuspecting enemy battleship. Hopefully those torpedoes will connect and take out that enemy battleship. That would be ideal. I'm spotted once again, so I need to, play it safe here in and amongst some cover. I don't want to get shot, or, I just don't want to take too much damage. Now, no one on the enemy team seems to really be reacting to me at this point in time, and I was kind of wondering what was going on. And you can see I'm lining up more torpedoes. This time the torpedoes are going to go towards Biter. You can see Master Chief just took out the Canadian, so that's fantastic. So I'm going to try and tort Biter here, get the kill on that, hopefully. And then we're going to be able to push in a little deeper into enemy lines here, back them away from the caps, right? Because we do have the cap advantage right now. We have B and A, but the enemies could always, make some sort of push and maybe take back B, especially if they regrouped right now and attempted to take back B, they might be successful at doing that. Anyway, the torpedoes I launched off at the other enemy battleship, I guess it was in New Mexico, maybe, not 100% sure, but anyway, those torpedoes all missed, so I didn't get any hits on that, so that kind of sucks, but whatever. Just continue to circle around here and see if we can get some torpedoes on this enemy battleship. So we do see torpedoes on the way in from the my allied destroyer there, so hopefully those will hit and they'll take out the battleship. I got 1 torpedo hit there on Biter, so better than nothing. Spotted now as well, because we do have some enemy battleships that are fairly close to me, especially this New Mexico here, so I'm going to fire off my torpedoes. What I'm hoping to be at, more or less point blank range, hoping that the enemy New Mexico is not going to be able to avoid those torpedoes. That would be ideal. Now I am spotted, and it's at this point in the game I'm getting fairly full of myself right now. I'm not making any sort of moves so that I'm not going to be spotted anymore. I'm just sort of sailing around blatantly in front of these enemies. No one's shooting at me though, which is very surprising. There we go. There's the first shots now from an enemy battleship. But other than that, no one was really too concerned with actually dealing with me. There we go. All my torpedoes managed to take out that enemy New Mexico, so fantastic. 2 kills for me and up to 92,000 damage so far. And the game has really just started, so that's not too shabby at all. We're going to turn ourselves around. We're going to try and maybe take out this other enemy battleship potentially. I do see some other, another enemy battleship there that's still alive. We see another enemy cruiser as well that could potentially be dealt with. And, just sort of looking around. I don't want to fire my torpedoes at a battleship, obviously, that's sailing away from me. We've talked about that before. I wanted to make sure that any torpedoes I send out downrange would hopefully be able to connect with something. Anyway, out of desperation, I suppose, I was thinking about firing off of that battleship, but then I see this cruiser here, and it's like, we'll fire 2 off of the cruiser, 1 off of the battleship, and see what happens with that. I mean, if nothing happens, it's totally fine as well. I'd be happy with walking away with the damage that I've dealt so far. Really, really quick game. Really quick game. It was very, I imagine, very disorienting for the enemy to suddenly lose battleship and then have another battleship basically almost dead, then die shortly thereafter. It does a lot to the team and the morale, which of course I'm quite pleased with. But anyway, we're going to circle around. We're going to use this Allies Destroyer's smoke as cover. We're going to, get in here. Now, the reason why I really like these circles is we can clearly see the boundaries of the smoke. There's no longer guessing, well, was I in smoke? Was I out of smoke? No. Clearly see the boundaries of the smoke, so I know that right now I'm going to be covered. No one's going to spot me. We're going to line up our torpedoes again on this enemy cruiser. Maybe take the cruiser out. Who knows? Again, anticipating where the cruiser is going to be, right? Because we can see that the cruiser is obviously turning away. This is the Kreshny Krim, or whatever the hell it's called. This thing that I think is totally a waste of money. I don't know why anyone would bother purchasing it, even on a collector's basis. I have no idea. But anyway, battle's over and we have won. Fantastic. it was a pretty good game. Wasn't too shabby at all. So 306,000 credits, 6,200 experience. I do get the 2 devastating strikes, first blood. Walk away with the 2 kills. Top of the team overall with about 1,700 experience, which isn't too bad. When all is said and done, we can see here how the damage was broken down. I really did harass those battleships pretty good. A little under 100,000 damage, I think, is what I walked away with. 273,000 credits, which isn't too bad at all. Moving into the next clip, we can see that we are on Estuary. Now, I'm grouped up this time with Thomista, who's in his Nagato. We've got Kelhorn, who's in the Miyoko, myself in the Shchors. On the enemy team, we have Canadian, who is in the Scharnhorst, surprisingly. And then, who is the other person? Sorry, Soviet, who is in the Atlanta, I believe. Anyway, so main plan here, you know, obviously, again, is not to die, dish out as much damage as possible, and victory. Now, Estuary, we've talked about Estuary before, and I really do like fighting on the east side of Estuary, where the D cap is, I suppose. That's really where I prefer to fight. This time, though, because we're in a division, we spawn over here, and I'm leery of taking the lead and going into A, right? I really don't want to go into A. I'm not in the cruiser that can actually do it. So what my plan is here, now, you got to keep in mind as well, we were in the same channel as Canadian and Soviet, you know, we're just all talking, so not talking strategy, obviously, because we're fighting each other, so I wasn't able to communicate my strategy with to Kelhorn and Thomista here, so it probably seemed like I was going crazy, but basically what I wanted to do was just do a big circle here around where I spawned, let a little bit of time pass to get some enemies closer to A so that, you know, I'll be able to spot them and get a better understanding of what enemy ships I'm going to be fighting over at A. I'm not abandoning A, I do accept the fact that I have to fight over there, but I'm going to be careful about it. I really don't want to get killed right away and just get too, I guess, overstretched, right? It just wouldn't be good. Now, I do have the benefit here, though, of obviously playing in the division. I've got an excellent cruiser and player Kelhorn here as well to sort of, you know, back me up anywhere I need it to be. And then on top of that, we can count on Tommy and the guns of the Nagato to come in and obliterate targets. So pretty damn decent, which isn't too bad. And in fact, I think in this game, Tommy almost gets himself a Kraken as well, so that was pretty decent. Anyway, we do see some enemy ships off in the distance. We can catch a quick glimpse of the Scharnhorst there. So, of course, the Scharnhorst is going to appear in the game as a Tier 7 German battleship. It'll be a premium. I have been asked the question a few times, you know, why is Scharnhorst the premium? What ship then is going to be in Tier 7? Well, the ship in Tier 7 is the Geisnau. Probably mispronouncing that, but whatever. The Geisnau is actually the lead ship of the class. The Geisnau was built before Scharnhorst. Now, Geisnau just doesn't get as much limelight as Scharnhorst, because Scharnhorst, of course, fought a more well-known battle in the North Atlantic during her final days and ultimate destruction. If you do want to learn more about that, I do have a German historical video up on the channel. I guess this would be the time that I'd say, you know, click here on the screen with the annotation, but whatever. The little jump there in time. What had happened? It was crazy. I actually got dropped out of the game. Don't know what happened. Anyway, load back up and we're off. So we can get, you know, at this point in time, we can see how the enemy is a little more spread out. So obviously we know that Canadian and Soviet are on the west side. They just took the A point. But we also know, though, that they don't really have too much support. They've got one cruiser, they've got the battleship, and I believe they might have another battleship. So this is pretty decent. On my team, I've got a lot of my ships heading over there to the east to take that D point, which is good because we need cap parity at this point in time. But I'm going to continue and do one more big loop here before I swing back around and go to A. Again, keeping in mind, I wasn't, you know, communicating this in TeamSpeak to Kelhorn or Thomista here, but to their credit, they figured out what was going on. Because as quickly as I'm turning around and heading back over to A, I quickly find that I do have support from Kelhorn and Thomista here to help me out with some of these enemies. So here we go. We have Soviet driving in a straight line in an Atlanta, presenting a broadside. Not a good play, not a good play at all. So I quickly load up my armor piercing and I just quickly, you know, start pumping in shots into the Atlanta here. The Atlanta as well, you know, great ship, great premium ship, but it's a whole lot more dangerous nowadays because the Atlanta has radar. If you recall, in the last patch, they gave Atlanta radar. So, you know, this is, you know, not only did we have to watch out for the ship before, but now, especially so. This is one of those ships that can do a whole lot of damage really quickly and really ruin everyone's day. So there we go. One of my allies managed to finish off Soviet there, so that's pretty fantastic. So now we do see Canadian kind of beating a retreat, rightfully so. Is being faced down by a number of enemy ships here as well. Obviously I don't know anything about the Shchors, so everything that I'm saying about the Shchors is complete and utter speculation, right? Until it's actually in the game, everything is subject to change. But with the Shchors, if you were wondering, it is very similar to when you're trying to attack it and kill it anyway, because I haven't played it, so I don't know. It is very similar to attacking and killing a turbot. As long as you shoot for the superstructure, you have a good chance of, setting some decent fires, doing damage over time that way. And alternatively, if you're in a ship that has better AP, potential, again, fire the superstructure, you're going to do a whole bunch of damage to that German battleship. So it's fantastic. We have this enemy destroyer here in front of us. We quickly dispatched the enemy destroyer. I think Kellhorn got the kill on that one, so fantastic. Which isn't too bad. I think actually, yeah, this is the second kill there too, so excellent. So we're in a pretty good position here. You can see that I've got Kellhorn in front of me. I've got Tommy right behind me. We're actually going to push through this channel. We have the smoke. I was thinking that the smoke was going to be in place, to help us out, shield us from the Canadian and whatnot. Didn't actually expect to see what I was about to see. Oh yeah, that's right, because Ghost is in the Ghost Raven is in their division as well. I forgot to mention. Yeah, Ghost Raven's in the division. Here we go, in the Shchors. Ghost Raven pops up out of the smoke, almost rams into Kellhorn here. I'm gonna get my torpedoes off. Obviously, Ghost Raven gets his torpedoes off into Kellhorn. I put some quick shots into Ghost Raven there and managed to take out Ghost Raven. So fantastic. Don't have to worry about them. Kellhorn quickly goes down though, because again, Ghost Raven, quick on the draw there, he got his torpedoes off and managed to, didn't take out, no, he did actually, yeah, take out Kellhorn entirely. So, interesting play. It got, pretty quick there. Things could have happened a lot worse, so it went decently. Anyway, I have this battleship off in the distance, so I put a few shots into him, hoping to set some fires. We see Canadian again, and we're gonna launch more shells off at Canadian here again, hoping to set some fires. Right, as long as I can keep these battleships on fire, I think things will go pretty good. Especially considering my team. We can see the team over on the east side of the map. They've definitely taken the point. Even have grand ambitions of pushing beyond the point. They're in a good position to do it as well, so excellent. I can really play the defense over here on A. If I am able to get into A and actually cap it, that would be fantastic, but it's not going to be my overall goal here. As long as I can keep these enemies at bay, that's really what I want to try and do. Taking a look around though, these enemy battleships, not so much of a big deal anymore, right? And I really don't want to chase them down. I just explained how, I'm really gone in the defensive and I'm not looking to take A at all. So, good time to circle around and start helping out my allies on the east side here. Even though, we do still definitely have enemies over there. We can see them right here. They're not necessarily a big threat to our point at this time. So I'm not going to deal with them at this time. I'm going to rather instead, I'd rather help out my allies on the east side, rain down some shots if I possibly can, because you'll notice the enemies are contesting that D point right now. So anything I can do to help out my allies. Now, sailing in a straight line, I do know that the Canadian is going to be coming around this headland here. I saw him, figured he's probably going to drive in a straight line, so I know something is going to happen. There it is. So the Shchors pops up, so immediately start engaging the Shchors here with high explosive, right? I do want to set fires. You can see Canadians returning fire at me. Now, hit point conservation, I've done pretty well this match, so that damage there that I take isn't such a big deal. Still have about 3/4 as well, so I could definitely take another salvo from Canadian, as long as it's not, a bunch of citadels. That would definitely kill me without question. Anyway, I do manage to set the Canadian on fire, so that's fantastic. Pushing over here onto the east side now as well. You can see one of my allies is in there kind of chasing down the battleships. Again, I don't want to get in close to a battleship. I'm in a Shchors here. I really don't have the armor to do that. So I'd rather help out on the east side, do what I can, continue to get a bit more damage done here as well. So we see an enemy cruiser off in the distance. We're going to try and rain down some shells onto this enemy cruiser. Again, hopefully set them on fire. In the meantime as well, you'll notice on the minimap that we are moving into the D point here. But it is going to be fairly critical as well that if we do move into D, that we push beyond D, right? We want to circle in and ideally take the northern point, or at the very least make a play into the middle to defend the 2 points we have and, you know, take down a few more enemy ships. Because at this point in time, the way this battle is going, you know, we have had parity for the majority of the battle. It's really been the ship kills that we've been getting here that's been leading to the increase in points that we have and that we are experiencing here. So there we go. I get myself a nice Confederate medal with a bit of damage there done to the Shchors. We see some allied shots come in just before mine go in, and it was Tomista, yes, so he got the kill, so fantastic, good job there, and manages, I think he's on 3 kills now. I can't quite see the numbers, but anyway, manages to get the kill, so fantastic job. So we're going to, you know, like I say, move to the north, take a look around at some of these enemy ships. What are they doing? So it does kind of look like we have some enemy ships making a play into the middle and potentially trying to get our southern point. We do still need to defend the southern point. I guess I never recommend, you know, actually just letting one of the points go. And because you're letting it go because, you know, you're on your way to the next point to cap that point, I don't really recommend that, because what if it doesn't work out, right? And then you just gave up your cap parity and things can go really sour really quickly. Like in this situation, right? I wouldn't recommend giving up our C point, be under the premise that, oh, well, you know, we're quickly going to be in B and we'll cap B very quickly. Yeah, I still don't recommend it. And you can see my team, you know, wasn't going to have any of that either. We do see the team is down there by the by our southern point, offering up some sort of defense against the enemy ships that are making their way in. So we see the Pensacola off in the distance. The Pensacola is not such a great cruiser. I'm just hoping to land these shots here because I should be able to do some decent damage. Yeah, there we go. And a bit of fire as well. Taking a look over at what's happening in the middle of the map, though, I do see enemy battleships making their way into our cap. Now again, we do have ships down there to defend against the cap, but there's no reason why I can't fire at this enemy Congo here and set the player on fire, do a bit more damage, help my team take the player down you know, quicker than they would normally. Besides that fact as well, the enemy Pensacola is quite a distance away, and I have a better chance of actually hitting and landing shots and doing damage to the Congo here than I do on the Pensacola. So we're going to focus on the Congo. So we can see friendly torpedoes go in and almost finish off the Congo there. We have some last friendly shots to come in and take out the Congo. Tomista again, so excellent job there. Earns himself his 4th kill, so fantastic. Only 2 enemy ships remaining. We have the Pensacola here, and then we have 1 more enemy battleship. The enemy battleship that is remaining, I believe, is the New York that spent most of this entire match over on the west side in the A zone, as if the player was waiting for me to come in and charge that point. I mean, you can really see the value of just, you know, stopping and assessing the situation before you just rush off and, you know, get into a point. Because at the end of the day, it's, well, for me anyway, it's all about surviving and winning. I want to survive the battle and I want to win the battle. Ideally, is along the way, you know, as well, I'm going to help out towards that victory. But that's my main goal here, and so I try not to take too many chances that aren't going to lead to me surviving or me winning. Anyway, few shots go into the Pensacola and battle is over. We managed to get our last 1,000 points there and we've won. So fantastic. Another decent game, I'd say. Not too bad at all. The enemy team actually this time though was a little more, put up a little more of a fight than last time, which was decent to see. So I do finish top of the team overall once again, 95,000 damage, which isn't too bad. Get the Confederate and the 1 kill, so that's not too bad. Overall damage, we can see how that was spread out here amongst the different players. A lot of battleship damage and fire damage, which is to be expected in the Shchors. I walk away with 167,000 credits and 4,900 experience as well, which isn't too bad. Anyway, that is today's video. I do hope you guys enjoyed it. Remember to leave any comments you have for me in the video comment section below. Love reading those and responding back to them. Remember to hit the old like button if you did like today's video. Hit subscribe if you are not a subscriber. And as always, I do hope you enjoy the rest of your day.